Here's a tool I don't want to live without. I'll tell you, the first time I saw a tool of this type, I tell you, they need a better name. They need a catchy name. These are called oscillating tools. This one in particular is a Bosch MXH180B oscillating tool with a brushless motor, and that is a good thing. I suppose that means you can't burn up your brushes, right? Sometimes I do that. I am very rough on tools. The first time I saw one of these was at my local Home Depot, and it wasn't a Bosch, it was maybe a Rockwell or something like that. And I tried it out, and I'm like, well, that thing's dumb. I'm never going to have one of those. I was wrong. And so probably within a year, maybe a little bit longer, of seeing one of these type of tools for the first time, I bought this guy here. At the time I had, and I still do have, a fairly complete set of 12-volt tools. Little impact driver, drill, cordless. There's a little sawzall that I call the peanut saw that's still super handy and is the one 12-volt tool that I still use frequently. This I do not use so much. This guy stays at home along with almost all my other 12-volt tools. But this has been a very good tool, and if you don't need it as much as I do, I recommend go ahead and go in this route. It's a good tool. It doesn't quite have as much power as I need, so the supply existed, therefore the demand got greater. The demand got greater, I needed more power. This does have a battery indicator on the side, which I think is cool. It has a speed control, and it's a good piece of tool. The blade replacement does require a tool. It requires a hex key or an Allen wrench, depending on your particular, dialect. This has a masonry type blade on it. I would use this and have used this to remove broken tiles, things of that nature. You can grind the grout out, and then you can, once you bust the pieces of tile out, you can kind of grind down the bed of mud, the thin set or mastic, with it, and get the area prepared. But that is the 12-volt version. The 18-volt version is not available in my local hardware store. It's not available anywhere I know of in town, so I had to order this guy from Amazon, which isn't a bad thing. But I do like to support my local stores when I can. This guy is just shy of $200 with no batteries, but I already have a bunch of these batteries because I have a lot of 18-volt tools. One drawback, this particular type of blade, this is a Rockwell blade, has this wide open area, and the blade can pop out when you have it in the straight up position like that. Call that the 12 o'clock position maybe. It can pop out. But if you move it a little bit to one side, which it's toolless, so it's easy to do, it will stay in just fine that way. Just enough to catch that. Its primary use is for cutting the bottom of your jambs and door casings out when you're preparing to lay your hardwood. You take a scrap piece of your tile or hardwood, and if you don't have a scrap piece, just turn the piece upside down, and it'll flush cut right on top of that piece, and you will be perfectly prepared to lay your floor. Don't lay your flooring around your door jambs and casings. It's not the right way to do it. It looks tacky, and you're giving us a bad name. Okay, enough with that rant. You will more likely, or at least more often, need to reposition your blade in order to have a good approach angle. More often you will need that than you will actually replace the blade. These blades are still a little overpriced, in my opinion, and I tend to use them until they are awfully shot. Until they're practically unrecognizable as a blade, and then they're more of a scraper, and the wood you get that nice burnt wood smell when you use it and all that. That's just me. obviously cuts a lot faster with a sharp blade. And this one cuts super fast. Other uses, you can cut drywall with it. You wouldn't do a whole, drywall install type job. You're still going to use your box knife and your, break over, cut the backside. But for cutting, say you have a fist hole in a wall and you need to cut a patch out to the, cut from stud to stud or whatever. This is going to do it. And it's not that messy, guys. It's not much messier than a knife or like a hand keyhole saw. It's a lot faster and super easy. You can plunge that dude right into the wall, no problem. It does take a little bit of technique to cut a straight line with it, but it's fairly manageable, especially with your speed control. So other things, if you need something cut off flush, this will do a great job with that. It just keeps, it's really good at cutting trim that's in place. That was the first job I ever had to do. I had a customer with a bunch of MDF casing, and they had water, and they were by the doors. They weren't going to not have water exposed to them the way that the concrete was and everything. Not to go down a whole rabbit hole here, but the first thing I ever did with this tool was to cut the bottom like 6 inches of casing off and replace it with a rosette block. At the time, that was still an acceptable design. The rosette block I made out of PVC, so there's a little tip that goes along with this. But if you have one of these, tell me about your model. If you don't have one, check the link in the description or just shop around. It's a valuable tool and one that you will definitely get your money's worth out of. Thanks for watching.